A treaty is an agreement under international law entered into by actors in international law, namely sovereign states and international organizations. A treaty may also be known as an international agreement, protocol, covenant, convention, pact, or exchange of letters, among other terms. Regardless of terminology, all of these forms of agreements are, under international law, equally considered treaties, and the rules are the same. Treaties can be loosely compared to contracts. Both are means of willing parties assuming obligations among themselves, and a party to either that fails to live up to their obligations can be held liable under international law. Modern usage: a treaty is an official, express written agreement that states used to legally bind themselves. A treaty is the official document which expresses that agreement in words, and it is also the objective outcome of a ceremonial occasion which acknowledges the parties and their defined relationships. Modern form: since the late 19th century, most treaties have followed a fairly consistent format. A treaty typically begins with a preamble describing the contracting parties and their joint objectives in executing the treaty, as well as summarizing any underlying events, such as a war. Modern preambles are sometimes structured as a single very long sentence formatted into multiple paragraphs for readability, in which each of the paragraphs begins with a verb, desiring, recognizing, having, and so on. The contracting parties' full names or sovereign titles are often included in the preamble, along with the full names and titles of their representatives, and a boilerplate clause about how their representatives have communicated, or exchanged, their full powers, that is, the official documents appointing them to act on behalf of their respective states, and found them in good or proper form. The end of the preamble and the start of the actual agreement is often signaled by the words "have agreed" as follows. After the preamble comes numbered articles, which contain the substance of the parties' actual agreement. Each article heading usually encompasses a paragraph. A long treaty may further group articles under chapter headings. Modern treaties, regardless of subject matter, usually contain articles governing where the final authentic copies of the treaty will be deposited and how any subsequent disputes as to their interpretation will be peacefully resolved. The end of a treaty, the eschatogal, or closing protocol, is often signaled by a clause like "in witness whereof" or "in faith whereof," the parties have affixed their signatures, followed by the words "done at," then the sites of the treaty's execution and the dates of its execution. The date is typically written in its most formal, longest possible form. For example, the Charter of the United Nations was done at the city of San Francisco the 26th day of June, 1945. If the treaty is executed in multiple copies in different languages, that fact is always noted, and is followed by a stipulation that the versions in different languages are equally authentic. The signatures of the parties' representatives follow at the very end. When the text of a treaty is later reprinted, such as in a collection of treaties currently in effect, an editor will often append the dates on which the respective parties ratified the treaty and on which it came into effect for each party. And multilateral treaties, bilateral treaties are concluded between two states or entities. It is possible, however, for a bilateral treaty to have more than two parties. Consider for instance the bilateral treaties between Switzerland and the European Union, EU, following the Swiss rejection of the European Economic Area Agreement. Each of these treaties has 17 parties. These, however, are still bilateral, not multilateral, treaties. The parties are divided into two groups: the Swiss, on the one part, and the EU and its member states, on the other part. The treaty establishes rights and obligations between the Swiss and the EU and the member states severally. It does not establish any rights and obligations amongst the EU and its member states. A multilateral treaty is concluded among several countries. The agreement establishes rights and obligations between each party and every other party. Multilateral treaties are often regional. Treaties of mutual guarantee are international compacts, for example, the Treaty of Locarno, which guarantees each signatory against attack from another.